So today, as we begin to wind down our series on the Book of Forgiving, written by Desmond and Mfu, his daughter Tutu, we have a couple more lessons. I just wanted to start off by sharing a little bit more about Desmond as the fatherly figure. So when Carol this morning read our daily word, it referenced some of the aspects of one who is considered to be a fatherly figure. One who is protective. One who is wise in their guidance and in instruction. And I'd like to share some more qualities of the divine masculine that are inherent within all of us, regardless of gender. Just as we did on Mother's Day, reflecting on those qualities of the divine mother, the divine feminine, the divine masculine are also qualities within all of us. And so some of these are risk-taking, being assertive, action-oriented, being disciplined, being able to set clear boundaries in our lives, standing in our power and confidence, having objectivity, logic, the ability to analyze, and it is the warrior or warrioress. When we can stand for those who might be oppressed, for stand in the power, speaking truth to power when it is necessary, rather than turning away. And we've seen this in the great master teacher Jesus, the Dalai Lama, Martin Luther King, all fatherly figures having the warrior energy, action-oriented, but yet they were also balanced in the feminine forgiveness and mercy and compassion and nonviolence. And so I want to just share a little bit of that I see in Desmond Tutu as well, the author of the series of the Book of Forgiving. In 1970, around, he received an offer. He received an offer to be the director of the Theological Educational Fund for the World Council of Churches, and that position was open for him in London. So that means that he would take his family, his wife Leah, and his 4 children to London. So they talked it over, they thought it was a great opportunity, and off they went. And life in London was quite different than in South Africa at the time. They received a reprieve, a respite from the violence, the hatred, and the oppression in South Africa during apartheid. Their children were able to go into schools that were not segregated, and all of them could go to any theater that they chose, any restaurant, board any bus, and even the police, called the Bobby, treated them with dignity and respect. It was a life-changing experience. And then around 1975, Desmond receives another offer. And this time, it is an offer for him to be the head of St. Catherine's Cathedral, the dean of St. Catherine's Cathedral in Johannesburg, meaning that they would have to go back to South Africa. So on one hand, he was saying, this would be great movement for South Africa. I would be the first man, Black person, to assume this role And at the same time, he was feeling the rising of the call, a call to something greater than himself. Now, knowing what life was like in London, what would it be like if that could be for the people of South Africa, for those Black individuals who were oppressed and treated with great violence? And so that rising of the warrior, the risk taker, the protector, something greater than himself was calling him to go back and to do it, to speak truth to power. And then on the other hand, how could he bring his family back into violence again, where his children would have to leave home for periods of time to attend boarding school because of the segregated and the conditions of the schools in Johannesburg? What should he do? How could he answer this call that was so alive within him and yet keep his family safe and protected? And as he went into prayer, he realized that this call was great, and he surrendered. He walked in faith, knowing that he was truly being called to go. So, he talked to his family. There were moans and groans, and then off they go. So when they returned, like I said, they would have to go off to boarding school. And as Desmond began to do his work, and as he would join forces with Mandela and speak truth to power, and he was all about nonviolence, he received death threats. Not only did he receive death threats, but his children did. His wife did. And as he began doing this deep dive about forgiveness and how he could bring forgiveness not only into his own life, into his parishioners' lives, but how can I use it in a way to heal our country? He started to realize that he had some remorse that was beginning to bubble up. That maybe I really didn't take the time to listen to my wife, Leah, about what I was asking of her and of the family. And so he sought forgiveness from his wife. And through the process of them being open and honest with each other, the power of forgiveness not only healed some of those wounds, but it transformed their relationship. Their relationship was strengthened. Their love for each other was deepened. Their love for their children and the love for the people of South Africa became immense. That's what forgiveness does. It opens us beyond our wildest dreams. When we take that step and something greater meets us, that palpable experience of the divine as grace meets us. So perhaps you too, at some point in your life, may have experienced some remorse. Anybody? For your words, your behavior, your inaction. So we have seen, so we're going to talk about that in just a moment. So I just want to review where we've been. We have seen through the fourfold path of forgiveness that we have gone through those steps when we ourselves are wanting to forgive, when we have been hurt, harmed, or we believe that someone's behavior, words, actions have caused us suffering. And so we looked at what it meant to be courageous and to go through those steps of telling your story by stating the facts, naming your hurt, having the ability to choose forgiveness because it is a choice, and then finally making the decision whether we will renew, through setting some boundaries, having a reciprocal conversation, renew or release the relationship. And so he also gives us in the book of forgiving, he tweaks those steps just a bit when it's us who is seeking forgiveness from somebody else. So here are those steps when we are seeking forgiveness: to admit our wrongdoing, our trespasses, our shortcomings, whatever way you want to say it; to witness the hurt of another; to seek forgiveness or ask forgiveness; and again, the same step: renew or release the relationship. So today we're going to just focus on admit the wrongdoing, the aspects of that, and then 2 weeks after sound healing, we will finish the rest of those steps. So what does it mean to admit our wrongdoing? But before I share those aspects, I would like to share an overarching wisdom that Desmond shares about when we are seeking forgiveness. And he states this: we all need forgiveness. There are times when all of us have been thoughtless or selfish or perhaps even cruel. Remember, no act is unforgivable. No person is beyond redemption. Yet it is not easy to admit one's wrongdoing and to ask for forgiveness. I am sorry are perhaps the 3 hardest words to say. We can come up with all manners of justifications to excuse what we have done. When we are willing to let down our defenses and look honestly at our actions, we find there is a great freedom in asking forgiveness and great strength in admitting the wrong. It is how we free ourselves from our past errors. It is how we are able to move forward into our future, unfettered by the mistakes we have made. And Desmond shares that in all of his research, he found that people thought it was easier to forgive someone else than it was for them to seek forgiveness from another. Has anybody else felt that that was true? Okay, so I see a few hands. I don't know, in the chat box, maybe some people could say yes, no. There's no right or wrong. It's a very personal decision. And so let us look at the aspects of what it means to admit our wrongdoing. It requires self-reflection, for us to specifically state in as much detail what it is, what action, what words were hurtful, could have caused suffering, for us to release our justifications and excuses. Yeah, but if you didn't do X, Y, or Z, I wouldn't have been angry. Has anybody been there? And then to weigh the consequences of going before another to seek forgiveness. And again, just like the 4 steps when we were wanting to forgive someone else, you do the steps first by yourself before you decide if you're going to go to someone, and then it's always good to get support from, a counselor or a minister or a trusted friend who's grounded and can hold you in truth. So let us look at self-reflection. from whom do you seek forgiveness? How have your words, actions, inactions been hurtful in some way? Where has your own suffering, I talked about sometimes those who were fatherly figures, their suffering spilled out onto others, and maybe they weren't the fathers we hope for. Well, suffering is an equal opportunity experience for this human experience, right? So where has my own suffering spilled out onto another in the form of sarcasm, ridicule, gossip, judgment, competitiveness, dishonesty, betrayal, negligence, selfishness, self-centeredness, anger, rage, abusiveness, addictions? According to Carolyn Mace, if we are in this human experience, we've all wrestled with some form of addiction, be it food, alcohol, drugs, overworking, perfectionism, time on our devices, shopping. We can go on. And the biggest one, little preview of maybe the next series, according to Richard Rohr, is stinking thinking. And so we do that self-reflection. Who am I willing to go to seek forgiveness, or who am I going to do that work on and share with another only? So then we move into state the specific details, and this is where it can get a little uncomfortable. So notice the vagueness is on column on the left, and the specific is on the right. So as we're doing that self-reflection, I can simply say, I was unkind to my sister. That's vague. Something more specific might be this. I told my sister that she was a loser and that she would never be able to hold a job. Ouch. Doesn't that ouch more than I was unkind? Now, we're not looking to zap you, but in order to be honest, we have to face the specifics of it. And so we might say at some point when we're ready to go to our sister, Mary, when I said that you were a loser and that you would never be able to hold a job, those words were unkind and hurtful. Example 2, I was angry and not in my right mind because I was laid off when I spoke to my spouse. More specific, I shouted in my spouse's face that he should stop using the Visa charge card and pounded my fists on the table 3 times. I am sorry. It could be followed with I am sorry for my violent behavior. I have not been honest to my father. More specific might be, I used my father's credit card without asking him to buy groceries, beer, and clothes. I am sorry that these actions were deceitful. Do you see the difference? So first you do that, and then you hold it for when if you choose that to actually go before the person you seek forgiveness. So we're asked to release justification and excuses, right? We can see in 2, right? This person is really hurting, isn't this person who lost their job, that was laid off? We know that they're suffering. But if we really know that we are called to be in our truth, it doesn't give us an excuse to behave in a way that is volatile, unkind, hurtful. And you may say, well, what if maybe I had a right to. You know, my child, my son, took the car and smashed it into another car. He wasn't being responsible. I have every right to be angry, of course. But how you express it is dependent upon whether you are in alignment with the truth of you, in alignment with the power of love. Not that you love it like I like that he smashed my car. No, not that kind. That means that I am unifying, harmonizing, and uniting my actions, my thoughts, my words to be from a place from my highest when I communicate to someone, even if I am angry. What if I was misunderstood? So on and so on. And Desmond Tutu says it doesn't matter because according to the philosophy that they follow called Ubuntu, he states this. So the word Ubuntu means I am because we are. That is oneness. What is in one is in the whole. What is in the whole is in the one. Ubuntu answers yes. It doesn't matter. Ubuntu places the highest value on whole and healthy relationships. If someone is hurt, Ubuntu enjoins us to try to understand that person's pain. We may not agree with them, but nevertheless, we seek to understand. Ubuntu invites us to see from the other person's perspective. We have perhaps all heard the question, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? And I know sometimes it is, I want to be right, damn it. We all want to be happy, and often that means we apologize and witness the harm another feels we have caused, even if we do not believe that what we did should have hurt. Like, I don't know why you're so hurt. It was no big deal. Did everybody say that to you? Ooh. In matters of the heart, there is no should. And we see this philosophy being spoken by the Master Jesus in Matthew. And we have the golden rule in Matthew 7, verse 12. And everything do to others as you would have them do to you, for this is the law and the prophets. The law of causing effect. That when I am in not my right mind, right heart, centered in my divinity, right? Causing effect. I put that out, what am I going to experience? In my body, I become ill. What am I putting out to the universe? And as I heal, we all heal. It's not up to me to be the judge and jury of other people. Doesn't mean I don't report things, but who am I being while I do that? And then we see the narrow gate. In Matthew chapter 7, verse 13 through 14, enter through the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the road is easy that leads to destruction, and there are many who take it. For the gate is narrow and the road is hard that leads to life, and there are few who find it. It is sometimes difficult to do the right thing, isn't it, in a world. We talked about we have two choices when we are hurt: to follow the path of forgiveness that has us take an inventory, have courage to face our feelings, to have to speak to another. That's the narrow path that's more difficult than the path of rewounding, justifying, excuse-making, and keeping the cycle of wounding going on, not only in your family, but in this world. And so, my friends, the last aspect of admitting our wrongdoing is we weigh the consequences. Again, we do this with ourselves first, whether we're going to actually go to a person, or am I going to choose to share this with a counselor, somebody in my step group, a minister, a friend, so on and so on. What happens when revealing an unknown betrayal may cause a deeper injury, where the person who you're seeking forgiveness from may not know about an untruth, a deceit. And here's the key. Nobody can tell you what to do. I always believe the truth sets you free. But you can share that. It's not like, I don't want to face this because I'm uncomfortable, so I'm just going to tell someone else. It is really taking a deep dive within your heart, calling on Source and asking, will this cause more harm to the other person? It is not about, this is the easy way for me. And that's where the discernment comes in. And then there could be weighing the consequences. Are there legal consequences? Did I cheat on my taxes? Did I steal from my employee? And so you may want to get legal counsel first. And so we can see that when we are asked to admit our wrong, that we must take time in our first step, being clear about who it is we seek forgiveness, self-reflection, being very clear and specific about what was hurtful, looking for the excuses, because if you come with somebody making excuses, they will not feel the sincerity, and nor will you feel the healing, and then weighing our consequences. So in closing, I'd like to share this before we go into meditation. These wise words of Desmond. We all lose a part of our humanity, of our divinity, when we hurt another human being. And that loss is a heavy burden to carry, whether the person you have harmed knows it or not. You know it, and that is enough to seek the path to make it right. It is understandable that you may be afraid of what might happen when you admit you're wrong. There may be a price to pay. That price will be far cheaper than the personal cost of keeping silent. The weight of guilt can be staggering and the burden of shame unbearable. The important thing is to remember that there can be no genuine forgiveness and therefore no genuine healing without genuine truth. It is what sets us all free. And so it is, my friends. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you in this meditation to begin to get still and to contemplate, from whom may I be seeking forgiveness from? And the music has already begun. I have softly playing in the background, being sung in Aramaic, the Lord's Prayer. And I will be reciting the translation in English, obviously, of the Lord's Prayer, which is the language that Jesus spoke. You know the saying, lost in translation? So I invite you to close your eyes. And as the lights become dim, let us bring our awareness to our breath. Notice your breath. Does it feel warm, cool? Oh, the breath of life. The power and presence of Source is alive. The birther of life is alive within every breath that we take. And I invite you to Know that as you drop into your heart space. Breathing in and breathing out from your heart. Allowing your breath to grow deep and slow. Sensing your breath now in holy union with the universal heartbeat of all creation. The cosmic heartbeat of divine source, infinite potential God. With every beat of your heart, sense the opening and the sacred fire of that cosmic love igniting within your heart. And allowing these words of the Master Teacher to fill your soul, to uplift you, to heal you. Birther of the cosmos, oh, you create all that moves in light. Focus your light within us. Focus your light within us as we breathe your holy breath. And oh, let divine desire be ignited in our hearts, uniting heaven and earth through our sacred union. On earth as it is in heaven, let us fulfill what lies within the circle of our lives this day. Grant what we need each day in bread and insight. For the I am, the Christ within, is the substance. And it is thy holy light that allows the transformation of our souls. Loose the cords of mistakes binding us as we release the strands we hold of another's guilt. Let us not enter forgetfulness, tempted by false appearances, but free us from unrightness. For from your astonishing fire comes the eternal song which sanctifies all, renewed entirely in our lives and throughout all creation. And as we become still and the music is raised in volume, seek your heart, from whom do I seek forgiveness? birther of the cosmos, you create all that moves in light. Loose the cords of mistakes binding us as we release the strands we hold of ours or another's guilt. Let us not enter forgetfulness, but free us from all untruth. Allow thy grace to fill me, to fill us. Oh, it is in thy holy, divine strength and courage and power and gentle, powerful love we are enfolded from within. And so it is. Know that each one of you walks in light and grace, for it is the willing spirit that is met by the grace of the holiness of the birther of life. Let us say amen together. Together, amen. Again, amen. And so it is. May you be freed by truth. May you know how beautiful you are. And so it is. Amen. I invite you to take a deep breath in. If it feels right, perhaps rub the sides of your legs, placing your hands together, feeling the energy. If it also feels right, stretching your arms above, yawning. And when you are ready, open your eyes as we behold the beauty and the reverence and the divinity of each one. Namaste.